All right.
If you don't mind. No, I got my notary.
Welcome, everyone. It is 7 o'clock. I'd like to call District 204 regular action meeting to order. Marilyn, will you please call roll?
Member Alvarez?
Present.
Member Peter Daniels?
Yes.
Member Devoto Campbell?
Here.
Member Dillon?
Here.
Member Giamatti Fry?
Here.
Member Kennedy?
Present.
And Member Lopez is absent.
All right. I ask we all rise and participate in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
All right. At this time, I'll open up the public hearing regarding the Lyons Township High School District 204 FY26 budget.
President Alvarez, you need a voice vote for that.
Oh, I apologize. Is there a motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. All right. At this time, I will open up the public hearing regarding Lyons Township High School District 204 FY26 budget. Director Brian Stashek has a statement to read and is available to answer any questions.
Thank you, President Elbors. In conjunction with Public Act 102-0895 in the state of Illinois, we are required as a school district to provide information on our fund balances 2 times a year, and that is when we adopt a budget and then we adopt our tax levy. And so, in order to comply with that, I'm going to read off the following fund balances, excuse me, for our individual funds and then in total. So the educational fund, and again, these balances, I apologize, are as of August 31st, 2025. The education fund, $23,684,093.96. The operations and maintenance fund, $9,923,504.36. The bond and interest fund, $1,515,672.63. The transportation fund, $4,229,758.10. The IMRF Social Security Fund, $1,846,000.15. The Site and Construction Fund, Capital Projects Fund, $10,914,305.84. And finally, the Working Cash Fund, $4,963,486.20. And the total for all of those funds is $57,076,821.24.
And this was published locally, right? The ad for the newspaper?
Yeah, not this portion, but for the public
For
hearing.
the public hearing?
Yeah, correct.
All right, very good. Do we have anyone that wishes to comment during our public hearing at this time? All right. In that case, seeing as there are no comments, can we please have motion and a second to close the public hearing?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Opposed? All right, motion passes. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Stashek. Our next item is public participation. Marilyn, do we have anyone signed up for tonight's first public comment? Okay. As a reminder, there are 2 opportunities for public participation. The first opportunity is for individuals who signed up prior to the meeting. For those who wish to speak during our second opportunity at the end of the meeting, please see Mary Lynn Muscolino just outside the room. The board appreciates hearing from our community, but does not engage in dialogue or discussion. If there is a comment that requires follow-up, the appropriate administrator will respond at a later time. In accordance with board policies 2:30 and 8:30, we appreciate you limiting your comments to 3 minutes and for keeping tonight's meeting respectful and civil. Marilyn, will you please call our first speaker?
Ann Bennett?
I'm an LT graduate. At a June 2025 Illinois State Bar Association annual meeting, I was speaking with an attorney, Bob Wells, who comes from the Bellevue, Illinois area. It's the St. Louis metropolitan area. And we discussed in depth the need for public education to offer a diversity of career paths beyond traditional training programs, the economic reality that many college-educated employment opportunities do not command salaries that support incurring the cost of higher education, the high cost of education making it unaffordable for many families, the lack of interest in some students to continue their education in a traditional classroom environment, and that many trade jobs do not require college educations, have higher compensations than what educated professionals can demand. When I mentioned that LTHS had an opportunity to use this Willow Springs investment property to build a vocational training facility, he said that the Bellevue Township High School District 201 recently built the Center for Academic and Vocational Excellence, which they call the CAVE, a state-of-art facility, an alternative education center that offers vocational programs and curricula that allows students to graduate with college credit, alternative day programs for at-risk students, an indoor field house, and flex space for future expansion. The Belleville Cave employs 6 full-time Illinois licensed educators, and they offer vocational programs in advanced business application, automation, automotive, aviation, carpentry and construction, community healthcare, culinary arts, early childhood education, machining, metalwork, and welding. But what made this truly amazing was that the community came together for this, and that many corporations in the area funded it. And their funders came from Gulfstream Aerospace Corporation, Boeing, counties, local businesses, the Southern Illinois Business Association, the Greater Bellevue Chamber of Commerce, unions, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers and the Brotherhood of Boilermakers, and utilities, and includes Pfizer. So what I'm asking is, before you sell this Willow Springs property, I would like for the board to authorize and fund a tour to go down to this Bellevue Cave and check it out, with the purpose that maybe you should consider building something that's comparable. And then the other issue that I wanted to address, which I actually said to the board on the April 3rd in 2023, and that was to expand, I think LT needs to expand its athletic facilities for more intramural and extracurricular activities, because you have a deficiency by not providing the same amount of access to facilities that's comparable to neighboring high school districts of Hinsdale and Downers Grove Township. LTHS has a student body of 4,000 with 2 campuses, with,
Just finish up what you were going to say.
okay, with 2 grades each, which you're employing a grade center model. But the Hinsdale and Downers Grove built 2 4-year schools with a complete set of amenities at each one of those. So even though they have the same amount of student body, they're allowing their students to have better access and opportunity to participate on teams. And I want to mention that LTHS decided to use this grade center model prior to Title IX that
Sorry,
required
I
women's
just meant if you
athletics.
could just finish up your last
Okay.
sentences there.
Anyway,
Thank you.
I wrote it all up,
I appreciate it.
and,
If you could, if you want to leave it with us,
and I
we'll
will.
take a look.
And I appreciate your time, and it's hard to condense it all. There was a lot of
I-
information, but
Thank you.
thank you.
Becky Lordson.
Hello, everybody. I just wanted to express my appreciation to the board members, Dr. Waterman, the students, and everyone who supported our wonderful Unity Rally last Sunday. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Andrew Johannes.
Good evening, everyone. The start of the school year has been strong. Our teachers, support staff, and administrators have worked hard to welcome students back into the classroom that are safe, engaging, and supportive. The energy in our school is positive, students are settling in, routines are being formed, and learning is underway. It has been a busy first month. Classes are diving into new curriculum, fall sports are in full swing, and PLCs are busy implementing new strategies. Over the past 2 weeks, we welcomed parents at 2 open houses. While these evenings make for long days, they provide a valuable opportunity to connect with families and build partnerships that help all students succeed. We are now looking forward to homecoming week when students showcase their school spirit and prepare for the dance. Teachers especially hope to see everyone out at the homecoming parade on Saturday. I'd like to share a few notes regarding board business. The LTA strongly supports the increase for the ACT test prep instructors as recommended by the stipend committee. This program is an excellent resource for our students, and the instructors put in significant time and effort to prepare them for success. I'd also like to thank Dr. Payne for sharing the proposed calendar for the upcoming school year. The LTA appreciates the opportunity to review and provide feedback on the calendar. We support the FRAID. Finally, I want to reiterate that our educators remain deeply committed to our students. We are finding creative solutions, collaborating across teams, and working with families to ensure every child has the best possible start. As we move forward, we welcome continued collaboration with the board and administration to address the challenges we face together. Our shared goal is clear: strong, safe, and supportive schools where every student can thrive. Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes our public participation for this portion.
Thank you, Marilyn. Okay, next, we are going to have our student representative. So Rhea is here with us this evening. Rhea, it's all yours.
Since the start of the school year, students have been very busy. Sports seasons have been ongoing since August, and clubs have just begun, many having their first meetings within the last 2 or 3 weeks. Just last weekend, Eurythmics hosted their tryouts, and auditions for madrigals were held a couple weeks prior. The first home football game was 2 weeks ago. Students showed school spirit by dressing up for the whiteout theme. Co-curricular night was well attended by students of all grade levels and was crucial in informing and recruiting freshmen. As classes ramp up, many students have been utilizing the newly opened drop-in centers at both campuses for support. In addition, upperclassmen at North Campus have been attending the college rep visits hosted through the College and Career Center. As college application deadlines near, seniors continue to engage with other resources and events offered by the College and Career Center, such as Essaypalooza last week. A popular topic of discussion among students is the new cafeteria food. Many students favor the variety of options available, especially for those with dietary restrictions, but also miss certain items from the old food vendor, such as the warmed-up cookies and smoothie bar. Students at South Campus continue to excitedly anticipate the switch from eating in the gyms to the new cafeteria. Today marks the beginning of Homecoming Spirit Week. Many students are eager to participate in and attend the various events and festivities throughout the week, such as the talent and improv shows, pep rally, soccer and football games, parade, and finally the homecoming dance. As students continue to ease their way into the school year, they are already actively participating in academics and extracurriculars. The energy and involvement seen so far point to a successful start.
Thank you so much. A lot happening. Big week for us here, right? And I won't lie, I've heard about the lack of cookies. I know that's a big topic amongst the students, right? Thank you for your report. We appreciate it. Next, Superintendent report, Dr. Waterman.
Thank you, President Boris. So I'll start with just a brief reminder that in your packet you'll find a memo that provides the monthly FOIA report since our last regular action meeting in August. Information is contained. Also, I want to highlight that Public Acts 096-0434, 097-0256, and 097-0609 require that on or before October 1st of each school year, all school districts must share with its Board of Education and post on its website an itemized salary compensation report for every employee in the district, which includes base salary, pension contributions, health insurance costs, and any other form of compensation. Accordingly, those reports are provided to you at your board table here this evening and will also be posted on our website beginning tomorrow. So that information is there as well. We are currently, as of today, celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month here at LT, which is observed each year from September 15th to October 15th. Today is significant because it's the anniversary of independence for Latin American countries, Costa Rica, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and Nicaragua. In addition, Mexico and Chile celebrate their Independence Days on September 16th and 18th, respectively. So here at LT, about 25% of our students are of Hispanic or Latino origin, and we are enjoying planning a variety of activities to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month throughout the next few weeks, including our Nuestra Historia celebration that is scheduled for Friday, October 3rd, so coming up in a couple weeks. I also want to just bring awareness to the National Alliance on Mental Illness has identified September as Suicide Prevention Awareness Month to help promote awareness and recognition around the issues of suicide prevention and how to have appropriate and meaningful dialogue regarding the topic of mental health. Throughout the month of September, we are bringing light to suicide awareness in a variety of ways, really to impart that important message that we all play a really important role to speak up and to get ourselves and others support when we see those warning signs. What that means on our campuses is we have announcements that are being made, and ribbons will be worn as we shine a light on a topic that's often very difficult to discuss and uncomfortable to hear. But of course, an important part of this is our parent and guardians as well, and so we invite them to join us in having these same conversations at home with their children throughout this next month as we recognize Suicide Prevention Awareness Month. Rhea mentioned during her report the transition to Quest as our new cafeteria provider. So one of the things I've been impressed with Quest is their commitment to collecting feedback, hosting focus groups, getting feedback from our students and our staff. And then, of course, you don't collect feedback if you're not willing to make adjustments along the way. So we're looking forward to them doing that as well. I connected with Quest's president, Nick Sicaro, this summer as part of the transition process, and asked him as we get into the fall to share with us not only feedback that they've collected, but also participation data from the beginning of the school year as well. And so my goal is to get that information to the board on a quarterly basis. So sometime around mid-October, right at the end of quarter one, I look forward to sharing some more information around the transition from Sodexo to Quest. Also, we're proud again to have partnered with LaGrange Hospital and Advent Health to offer a free health clinic to our community. That's actually coming up in a couple of weeks. It's a week from Saturday, actually. Saturday, September 27th. We host this at South Campus. And it's a free clinic that includes chiropractic care, dental exams, diabetes and nutrition education, laboratory screenings, orthopedic and pediatric care, school and sports physicals, vision screenings, like really a whole host of health services. So this is the 4th annual event that we've partnered with them on, and we really enjoy partnering with them to offer this clinic. It's to our community, but it's also open to any community member that wants to come, so even outside of the LT community. So it's really turned into a really good event for both the hospital and for LT. Couple other plugs. We're having our first LT Community Advisory Council meeting of the year coming up this Thursday night. We're going to host it in our new orchestra room, the new music space over at South Campus. The focus is mostly going to be on facilities, but it's going to be a kind of a variety of topics we're going to cover and updates. So we're certainly going to get some feedback on the calendar that we proposed, get feedback on facilities and priorities. So hopefully we'll have a big community turnout for that. And then, of course, last but certainly not least, just as Rita talked about, happy homecoming week this week. Looking forward to a fun week, but also kind of centralized this Saturday with our tours, parade, game, dance, alumni celebration, and all that goes into that. So it's a fun time of year. With that concludes my report.
I don't know if there was one thing that was more important than the other. There's a lot of good stuff on that list there, so thank you. Appreciate that. We will now move on to our unfinished business with the consideration of approval of the second reading of the stipend committee recommendations. Ed Piotrowski.
Thank you, President Alvarez. As this is a second reading, we had this as the first reading at the Committee of the Whole meeting 2 weeks ago, where we discussed this proposal and answered questions from the board. There have been no changes to this proposal at this time, but I am happy to answer any additional questions that the board may have.
I'll just only reiterate what I said last time, which is that it's an excellent program, and I really hope that, our students and their families continue to take advantage of it. And I appreciate our faculty that steps up to the plate and really helps prepare our students for the testing. So
Absolutely, thank you.
it's awesome.
I think the only thing that I would add is just keeping in mind again that it's been a very long time, right, since we've made this increase for our staff to be able to do this. So I appreciate the work that the stipend committee did for it, and I think, at least from my view or lens, having kids that have gone through this program, I definitely see the value in bringing that rate up to make sure that we have our own people to support our students.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. That being said, do we have a motion to approve? Sorry, hang on one second, sorry. I got to the wrong spot. Can we have a motion to approve the second reading of the stipend committee recommendations as presented?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, that concludes our unfinished business, and we will now move on to our new business. Our first agenda item for this is consideration of approval of the Lyons Township High School District 204 FY26 budget. Brian Stashak.
Thank you, President Alvarez. So, as you recall, we reviewed the tentative budget back in August. And so now, as I mentioned before, we have to have a 30-day period between the time that we adopt the tentative budget to the time that we adopt the final budget. We have more than 30 days here, excuse me, since the adoption of the tentative budget. So tonight we'll be asking the board to adopt the final budget. Typically, what I do is I go through and I just review some of the changes that have been made since the time of the tentative budget. So in this particular budget, we have current estimated revenues of $105,087,000, and we have current expenses at $105,153,000. What I want to talk about here, just a couple of items that have changed. One of the changes for the positive is that the district received back the estimate for corporate personal property replacement taxes for this year. And so initially, we had $3.8 million in the tentative budget. However, the estimate from the State of Illinois Department of Revenue came back closer to $5 million. And so I did not add all of that back into the budget, being a little bit conservative in that. And I added essentially another $900,000 back into the budget. So instead of that line item being budgeted at $3.8 million, we are now at $4.7 million. So that is a positive development. However, we do have to be cautious because that is only an estimate in terms of what's coming back to us. But I can tell you, in the payment that was made to us in the month of July, it was higher than what was expected. So that was actually some good news there. If you look on the, and by the way, so as we talked about, we had a $1.8 million deficit in the operating funds expected in the tentative budget. That has now dropped that down to about a $900,000 deficit. So that's really good news. I do want to point out one thing here that corresponds with this next change, and that is if you look on page 22 of the actual 5036 budget document, I think it's page maybe 35 in your packet, somewhere in that area, you'll notice that it says that we now have a balanced budget and that there would be a surplus of $106 million, almost $107 million. When I look,
106,000.
what did I say? 107 million?
106,000.
No, not that. Sorry. Sorry about that. $107,000. Thank you for the correction. But that number is being skewed by my next bullet point here. And what's happening is we are budgeting, we have an additional $1 million coming to the district as a donation for the softball field. And so I'm now budgeting for that revenue source in the O&M fund. However, that is already allocated toward expense, and that expense is in the capital projects fund. So it shows up as a revenue in the operating fund, but it gets moved out to the capital projects fund. So really, that's a pass-through for that $1 million, but it shows up as a revenue of $1 million in the actual budget. So it's really skewing that number by that $900,000, actually $1 million, and showing us with a $107,000 surplus. When you back that number out, that $1 million revenue, because it's going to leave and go to the capital projects fund, that then creates the deficit of the $900,000. So even though the budget, the 5036 form shows that surplus and balance, it's not truly there because of that money moving in, that $1 million moving in and then moving out. Does that make sense to everybody? Just want to make sure that that makes sense. And so that is a change there that we mentioned, that I mentioned as well. So again, skewing the budget a little bit there. Itemized one-time costs, again, as we talked about, are really equal to that deficit of $900,000, $400,000 unallocated for unseen building issues, and then $500,000 for new furniture at South Campus cafeteria, classrooms, and common spaces, which again, we budgeted for last year. Didn't happen last year, so we had to bring it forward to this year. We talked about last time expenses that were in the O&M fund that have been moved, that were in the tentative budget, moved to the capital projects fund, and that was the remaining dollar amount, $308,000 for the repair of the gymnasium walls. We still have a $200,000 estimated cost for sound dampening equipment on the cooling towers at South Campus, and then $250,000 for the replacement of the lockers and cabinets in the new music space at South Campus as well. So that was originally in the tentative budget, but now has been moved out to the capital projects fund. Still in the budget, but in that capital projects fund. And that $250,000 for those cabinets was also in last year's budget, but has been moved forward to this year because we did not finish that in time. And then finally, we have the transfer. I have worked in a transfer into this particular budget of the $3 million for the donation for the softball field. So that $2 million and some change now is sitting in the O&M capital project, in the O&M fund. We are going to, once we obtain the remainder of the $3 million, a total of $3 million, we will move all of that over to the capital projects fund, which is where it's going to go to cover the cost of the construction of the new softball field. And so that revenue will meet the expense in that particular fund. That being said, there are really no other major changes there. Beyond my memo there, I certainly have the highlights there that look at what we are expending or looking to see in revenues and expenditures, what's driving those revenues and expenses. I also mentioned the transfer in there of the $3 million. Then on that following page, we have the summary, which breaks everything down really by sources, but both revenue and expenditures. And again, you'll see some skewing of those numbers for the items that we just talked about. No budget presentation is complete without some pie charts that shows us the percentage of revenue and expense. Just a couple things that are worth pointing out there. If you look at the percentage of revenue, 94% of that is local sources. What are local sources? Property tax revenues, the corporate personal property replacement tax, fees, all of that. So 94% of the district is supported by the local revenues, 5% state revenues, and really 1% federal revenues. If you looked at another district, you might see a different percentage there. State revenues might be a much larger percentage, but because we have so much local revenue, the state does not provide us very much in terms of total revenue. Again, if you look at those expenses on the next pie chart, 73% of our expense is salary and benefit, and that's pretty typical for school districts in the state of Illinois. That's what really drives most of those expenses. And so we're right in the ballpark with all of those. We then have the notification from the public hearing tonight. Also, the 5036 form, which is the official budget form for the state of Illinois. That being the case, I'd be happy to answer any questions on any of the information in the budget as presented. The one other point I want to make is after all of this information was submitted last Wednesday, going back to the health insurance, we've had sort of a mini pool with us and with LADSI. We were notified late last week that LADSI intends to leave our health insurance pool. That will not be effective until January 1st of 2026, so they will be with us through the remainder of this calendar year. That being said, there's a high probability that once we unravel all of that, look at what our numbers are going to be standalone by ourselves, that I will be amending the budget then to show what the reflection of that is, because LADSI has both expense and revenue in the budget. And so when I look at what the final outcome of that will be, most likely we will be amending the budget on the benefit side to reflect those changes. But that won't be until probably late winter, early spring as we get that information. So just wanted to talk briefly about that. Other than that, happy to answer any questions you may have.
When did you say LADSI was stepping out, or when? January.
It'll be effective January 1st of 2026.
Of 26, okay. Thank you.
Do you know why?
Yes, we talked about the year that we had this year. And they looked at this, they looked at their numbers, and we were talking about percentage increases, obviously, on the backside of all of this we knew were going to be potentially substantial. They decided that they wanted to look to see what other options were out there, were available for them. And so they found an opportunity with another insurance pool that offered them increases that were going to be much less than what we potentially were seeing for the coming year.
So they're still doing a pool, they're not doing a private source, is what, because I know that was my question.
Yeah, no, they're going to be entering, my understanding is a pool
Okay.
of school districts, yes.
And they're like 300 or 400 people, employees, so are they?
A little bit higher than that,
Here,
but
okay.
yeah, but in the
Right.
ballpark of probably closer to, I think, 500 total, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Don't hold me to that number, but I think that's where they are. Yeah.
Ryan, what do you think that potential impact would be to our school and our benefit package?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I have to tell you that I don't know the answer right now. So since we've just received that information, we are working with our broker to look at what that impact is going to be. So I don't really know right now, but when we do have that information, I'll bring that back to the board for discussion. We do know that they have claims and they have revenue, right? So both of those are going to go away. I don't know if that'll benefit us, if that won't benefit us, but we're gonna have to take a look at that and then bring that information back.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
And realistically, a lot of that could change on either side of our
Yeah.
pool or theirs at any given time, right?
It does.
And correct me if I'm wrong, we were a pool of 11, and now we would be 10 other districts? Or-
No, it's just us and Ladsey and the
Oh,
insurance
it
side.
was just us. now.
Yeah.
I thought it was a
Yeah.
pool of.
No, the 11 was the transportation bid.
We've been us, we've been us.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so,
Yeah,
Yes.
that's the buses. Thank you.
yeah, so there will be, obviously some changes made to that, so we'll bring that information back. And then I am going to continue to look at options for the district as well, in terms of, does it make the most sense for, obviously after this coming year, does it make sense for us to do something different? Does it make sense for us to keep doing what we're doing? So there's gonna be a lot of information coming forward about that. We met with our insurance committee today, and we talked to them a little bit about that as well. And so they were on board with us, potentially looking at some other options. But, there's a lot that goes into that, and so we'll have some discussions here in the future about what that looks like.
And when do you expect to know the impact of Lead-C?
I think we would know probably within the next couple of months, as our brokers are working on that information.
Would you expect them to also get information on what you just said at the same time, so we could look at both?
Yes,
at the same time?
yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot to look at
Yeah.
if you're going to move your insurance operation from one location to another. And so I think that, for example, we've had some preliminary discussions about that. And one of the issues is that if we were to shut down our current operation on December 31st of 2026, let's say, okay, so a year from this December, you would still have run-out claims that belong to that prior insurance pool, right? And so any claim that would come in up through December 31st, 2026, 11:59 and 59 seconds, still belongs to that old insurance, process. And so even though we would be looking at, if we were deciding to move, you would still have these run-out claims that would have to be paid. And so that's part of that. So you really wouldn't even know the full impact of what's happening until, we have to plan for that, right? We'd have to say, okay, there has to be some number here that we would anticipate. So the shorter term is such that we'll know the impact on our rates, let's say, for example, really within the next month. Because that has to be done because we will have our open enrollment for our insurance in the end of October, beginning of November. And at that time, we have to have our new rates generated for our staff, so they know if they want to move, programs, plans inside of our program, they can do that. So we'll have a lot of that information, obviously, done here by mid-October. The long term, in terms of where we would go, where we'd move this program, I think that's going to take a little more time. So that probably would be a discussion for probably the winter of 2026 here, so January, February 2026, and then we would start piecing all of that together to determine what we think we may want to do. Because what happens with Ladsey now is only going to be one piece of that puzzle. if that makes sense. Then there's going to be more that we have to look at as we go forward.
So from a timing standpoint, the changes probably wouldn't really happen or be effective until the following January for people, or that open enrollment period of 26.
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. Yeah, so we would want to have everything in place probably mid to late summer of 2026, and moving forward with that, and then have all of that plan in place. Then we would have an open enrollment again. Obviously, we do it annually for our staff members, but it would be under what would be, if we were moving programs, what that would look like then. And again, moving programs, just so you know, doesn't mean that we have to change
Sure.
any of what we're doing.
Right.
We can take our current plan and just move that into a different
Right.
funding and payment method, so that it may not mean anything in terms for our staff. It may just mean that we're looking at how we're operating here in the district, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Other comments, questions, concerns? I will tell you, I was happy to hear about the CPPRT increase, right? So
Yeah, that was good news.
Not the
Unexpected.
numbers that we've seen in the past, but certainly better than what we were projecting, which is good.
Right,
Yeah.
which is helpful.
Considerably.
All right. That being said, we have a motion to approve the Lyons Township High School District 204 FY 26 budget as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Marilyn, will you please call the roll?
Member Giannotti Frye?
Yes.
Member Kennedy?
Yes.
Member Lopez is absent. Member Vita Daniels?
Yes.
Member Zelka Campbell?
Yes.
Member Dillon?
Yes.
Member Alvarez?
Yes, motion passes. And actually, I'm off today. Nobody corrected me. I didn't do that for our last one, for the stipend committee.
That's okay, we can let it go with a voice vote for that, but
It is
for the
okay.
budget and the next one, we need a roll call vote.
Feel free to correct me if I'm messing up, Marilyn.
It's okay,
Thank you.
I would've said something, we can have a voice vote for the stipend committee though.
I appreciate that. Okay, our final new business agenda item is consideration of approval of the resolution of the transfer of funds for operation and maintenance fund to the capital projects fund in the amount of $3 million for the construction of the softball field. Brian Stashak.
Thank you, President Albors. Just as we talked about, this is the transfer that is budgeted in the current FY '26 budget to move that money out of the O&M fund into the capital projects fund to pay for those expenses related to the construction of that new softball field. This does require a resolution by the board, and so this allows for the transfer of up to that $3 million amount. And so all we're asking for the board is to approve the resolution for that transfer in conjunction with the FY '26 budget.
Any questions, concerns?
I just want to say thanks again for the donation.
Yes.
I mean, like,
Fabulous.
it's still incredible.
Yes.
And how lucky are we?
It's amazing.
So much.
Extraordinary.
So cool.
Cannot wait for that to get moving.
Yeah.
Right?
So with that, I'm happy to approve.
We are close. We are days away from breaking ground. It just seems like it's taking longer than it should take.
It
but
has
We're
had
getting there.
some red tape that we've had to cut
Yes,
through to get
we're
there, right?
still waiting on an MWRD permit to come through, but hopefully that's imminent.
Very good. All right, that being said, can we have a motion to approve the resolution of the transfer of funds from operations and maintenance fund to the capital projects fund in the amount of $3 million for the construction of the softball field as presented?
Second?
Marilyn, will you please call roll?
Member Kennedy?
Yes.
Member Vita Daniels?
Yes.
Member Zelka Campbell?
Yes.
Member Dillon?
Yes.
Member Giannotti Frye?
Yes.
Member Alvarez?
Yes, motion passes. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Brian. Our next agenda item is informational, the Parent-Teacher Advisory Behavioral Interventions, PTABIC, as I like to call it, Board Committee Meeting Update. Dr. Owens.
Thank you, President Albors. You have the short recap in your packet, but just to provide the board with information, we kicked off our 2025-26 PTA BIC, that's how I prefer to say it, committee on the 9th of September, and so we had about 20 of our 23 members present at 7 o'clock in the morning. This is the third year that I've had the opportunity to facilitate this committee, and it's been really a wonderful experience throughout the year. So you might remember year one, we tackled our code of conduct and worked with our attorneys to rewrite the entire code of conduct. Last year we tackled attendance, and so we did a deep dive into attendance, which resulted in some changes to our processes here, as well as an attendance campaign for our whole school community. So it's really been a great experience to have different folks at the table from different lenses. We have administrators, staff members, parents and community members present to really dig into a single issue and look at ways that we can improve and make sure that nobody is missing from our conversation and that we're being really inclusive when we're making adjustments. So this year, we are diving into restorative interventions, restorative practices, and as typical, we dove into learning during the first meeting. And so we had our team that this table got to hear from our restorative interventions crew present and provide some information and data regarding our restorative intervention room. And then we provided some time for the members of the committee to ask questions and provide feedback to help guide our next session. So we'll meet 3 more times throughout the year, once per quarter. And we'll be looking at, on the memo, you'll see different questions that came up from members, but certainly had some spirited conversations at the table about disproportionality of our students and who is receiving restorative interventions. What is our full tier 1, 2, and 3 experience of restorative practices here? What training have our staff gone through? As well as just collaboration and differentiation of some of those practices for students who may have diverse learning needs. And then looking at our gaps and challenges and coming up with solutions is really the big work of the committee. So happy to answer any questions. We have President Alborz and Member Lopez are members of that committee. So certainly if you have any insights that you want to share, and we'll take any questions.
Yeah, I would just say, from my perspective, it was a great high-level overview of what's happening. I think the work that the administrative team, the RIR, and staff that are involved in that process is, based on the comments that we've heard and feedback we've heard from previous board meetings, from the students, has been a tremendous impact to hopefully breaking down some of that recidivism rate. I know that was a big thing that we talked about is, are we getting to the point where we're seeing the same students, getting the same referrals over and over, which is what we're hoping to do. Certainly we did talk about the disproportionality, and while this is an intervention after the incident occurs, I do think the work that we did with PTAVIC, I can't say it the way that you say it, made a tremendous impact last year, right? And I think that the work that we do in this committee hopefully will keep moving our district forward. I appreciate Member Lopez being on there as well, but I always find these things extraordinarily beneficial for our district. So.
Remind me how many parents we have that, is there a requirement of a certain number to be part of the committee or?
There's not a requirement. We typically have 3 to 4 invitations that go out.
Okay.
Same as this year, 1 parent was able to make this first meeting, so we're hoping to have more participation at the next meeting.
Okay.
But yeah, we try to kind of canvas.
But you try to keep that same committee the same for the whole year, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the committee members stay the same throughout the year.
Okay.
But then
Wasn't
each
sure
year
if
we
it's
open up different opportunities for different staff, kind of depending on the topic, and then parents who have, and guardians who may have asked to be part of a committee, and or people that we know have been involved or would have a good voice at the table.
Great.
I will say the parent that we had here last time raised a lot of great questions. I don't know where you found her, but she was wonderful. She was great. She had a lot of insights that I thought were very valuable to the committee.
Very enthusiastic member, and she was thrilled to be at the table, so it was great to have her.
Good. Love that.
Okay, very good. That being said, our next agenda item is our consent agenda. So we've now reached the consent agenda portion of our meeting. Our consent agenda includes the following items: payment of bills and financial statements for LTHS and LADSI for the month of August 2025, approval of human resource items for LTHS and LADSI, review and approval of the meeting minutes, open and closed sessions, approval of overnight student travel as recommended by the administration. Are there any items that the board would like to pull and discuss separately?
Yes. I would like to offer up a discussion for the Cuernavaca, Mexico trip, if we could.
Yeah, we can. So let's talk about that. And then we'll, at the end, we will vote either with or without based on our discussion. So do you want to talk a little bit about your
Sure,
concerns?
sure. First of all, it's such an incredible opportunity to offer students immersion trips in general, and the fact that they would be going into Mexico, I think, for the 40th year is what I think I heard.
At least something like that, yeah.
Something-
Mid-'80s.
So it's been a
Mid-'80s,
long
yeah.
time coming, which is fantastic. And I really appreciated the write-up as well that was submitted to us. What does concern me, though, is that Cuernavaca, and in particular Morelos, is a level 3 destination. Yeah, which means to reconsider travel. And I did learn recently that I guess it has been that designation for a number of years. And LT has still taken students, which I was not aware of when I raised the concern. So I still do have the concern, it being as a mom and someone that has traveled abroad during my high school years. I know that in that program, the committees that were reviewing that were very much focused on making sure that those destinations were at a level 1 or a maximum level 2. And so I had that in the back of my mind as I read this. So I just wanted to offer up my concern that as a level 3, I wouldn't feel comfortable approving that. And I get the historical, and I just wanted to offer up the potential of maybe next year or when this comes around again, for us to consider additional destinations, Latin American, Central American destinations that are more in the level 1, level 2 designations, just to ensure safety and security. I don't know if you all know, level 3 is, when it's described, I don't know, do you want me to read it? Real quick, it says, this is due to, the reason why it's a level 3 is due to terrorism, crime, and kidnapping, in particular of U.S. citizens have been victims of kidnapping. Again, it's intended to, alarm, but it just something that stuck with me, so I just wanted to bring it to your attention.
So I guess it would be helpful for us to get some context as to how those decisions are made historically, what has happened, what is communicated with families. Can you speak to a little bit about?
Yeah, I mean, as Joy talked about, this is something, it's been a trip that's been ongoing for about 40 years. It is an immersion program, so our teachers and our students work with a specific school. They've worked with the same specific school since, the mid-'80s. So students are always in that same place. They stay with the host family. We actually went through this a few years ago when the travel advisory was raised to level 3, and we worked with our law firm to make sure that our communication, all the expectations, guidelines were put in place because of that. But certainly that doesn't, mean that there can't be concerns about taking the trip there. So I think what I would like to do is just see if there's other board members that have concerns, and if there's any more information that we could gather to give you guys. We can obviously either proceed tonight, or we could pull this and gather more information and bring it back in October. It's really whatever you guys think is the best way to move forward.
And Joy, I appreciate you bringing that up. I don't know that I would have thought to look because of the history and stuff. And I guess, Brian, with this location, and you said there's a history, so I guess I would even love to see how it's communicated to our families and to the parents.
Yep.
And also then, is it the same, is it our same sponsors and hosts that do this every year? So it's it's
same
almost
staff
like
members.
it's sort of like a lockstep thing, and then what level of, control do we have about, in keeping our students safe when they're there?
Yeah, same staff that have been coordinating from our end for literally decades.
Yeah.
Same staff on the Cuernavaca side as well. Obviously, same school. They stay with host families. They travel in pairs. They're at school during the day. They do outings as the whole group in the evenings. That's kind of the basic information. Unless you have any other. information to share from what you gathered?
No, I think that was a lot of what was shared by our division chair in that, in talking with the sponsors last time. I think you said they stay with host families. It's through a school that they've been working with the whole time, so there's a lot of, precautions, and they're very strict on safety regulations when they're down there.
Right.
Morelos is a larger, state. Cuernavaca is a small city within, and so certainly the travel guidance is for that whole state, but Cuernavaca is a tourist destination as well as a learning destination, so I think something that they, are just familiar with and comfortable with when they're there.
And they have a pretty, robust itinerary that keeps them probably pretty much on schedule. It's not like there's an abundance of.
Yeah, most exchanges and
Free
most
time,
trips, overnight
right.
trips, there's a pretty packed itinerary for that reason. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is a program that students apply for, so it's any student at certain levels can apply. They accept the teachers accept the applications and work with families to decide who goes.
How many students do we usually have? I know it says 10 to 36, but is there kind of a?
Our average is between 25 and 36. It's
Oh.
capped at 36.
Oh, wow, okay, so we get a pretty significant level of interest in this.
Yep.
Okay.
And the trip is every 2 years, maybe you said that,
Yep.
so
Okay.
not every single year, but every other year.
Right, yeah.
Which is why this came up in for the 24 trip, which we were talking about in 23. That's when it came up, and that's when we knew that the travel advisory had went from level 2 to level 3, and instead work with our law firm to make sure our communications and everything were up to speed.
Do you require that the students purchase trip insurance in case something should happen, that they have a different layer of protection?
I'd have to look into that. I'm not
I
sure.
mean, I'm just thinking from
Yeah.
you know what I mean,
Health insurance or something?
no, travel
No.
insurance, because I know my kids that have traveled with school programs, it was not through LT though, it was through Fenwick. My two that went there, it was a requirement that they had to have their own travel in case something should, their own insurance.
Yeah.
They provided, it was
Find out.
an additional cost, so maybe that could offer another layer if something should happen.
Mhm.
I think seeing how, it's a parent's decision, I get it,
Right.
and it's such a great opportunity. Maybe just seeing how it's communicated to parents and how
Yep.
vividly or
Right.
boldly we
Right.
state that it is a level 3, and
Right.
Right.
I'm
Yeah.
not sure what the legal terms
Yeah,
would be, but.
yeah. No, we can do that.
No, I mean, I think
You
that's a
know.
good thing to highlight, because I, as a parent, would just assume
Yeah.
That
it was
it's
just
safe.
I'm going to Cancun.
Yeah.
I know.
Just, you know what I
Yeah,
mean,
that's-
you know, I mean, it's gonna be
Sure.
okay, but
I'll share that with you guys, but that is outlined multiple times, multiple ways, based upon the last time that we've had to put this all together, so.
And thinking for the future too, I mean, if this has been on level 3 for a while, would we be considering, or could we look for other alternative locations for future? That seems unfortunate though, with that history, and I think that they probably appreciate it, and the program is just probably a really well-oiled machine that provides such rich, opportunity for them. So, it wouldn't be something you can do quickly, but if it is every 2 years, I guess you'd have 2 years.
Yeah, it would certainly
potentially
be something we would want to look for next time.
Yeah.
Not this time, but.
Yeah, it
that
would not be enough time to
we
do
could at
something like
least-
that.
At least consider all the
Mhm.
advantages and disadvantages
Yeah.
of that, which there's
Yeah.
gonna be both sides of that, but.
And it's good to have that discussion, and thank you for pointing that out, and also understanding how the parents are communicated with about the program.
So I can definitely share that with the board. So why don't we pull it for today?
Yep.
I can share that communication information, and then I can get that to you later this week or next
Okay.
week at the latest. And then we could bring it back to the October board meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think again, I appreciate the concern as well. It was something I was worried about, but I think how it's communicated, what they do to ensure safety. I did hear the night, they don't travel at night. There's a lot of things that they talked about in there, but if there's more details for the safety precautions, I think that would also help. I get that this is like a capstone, maybe lack of a better word, trip for our students who have been waiting for this for 4 years, so I'm not personally in a position to say no automatically, but I definitely want to know more.
Okay.
Good, and everyone else?
Any other information or stuff we can bring back?
I don't know if there's any way to try to drill down as to You know, if you look at Chicago, people will say, okay, but it's a large city. There's obviously places that are very safe and there's nothing to worry about. It's like, how do you quantify like where the kids are going as opposed to the area that might be you know, if that's 50 miles away and, you know, I don't know if there's any way to really drill down as to where they're going.
Yeah, I mean, I
specifically.
don't want to speak for the teachers, but I would predict that's exactly what they would say. It's the travel advisory is related to a state,
Right.
and this is one area that they've obviously been to over and over again and have a level of comfort to go there again. I think that's a factor.
Okay.
So I'll get that information, bring it back, and I won't even bring it back, I'll just send that to you guys well ahead of the October meeting, that way you can look at it and go from there.
Thank you.
All right, then, can we have a motion to approve the consent agenda with the exception of item D1, the overnight field trip to Cuernavaca?
So moved.
Marilyn, please call roll.
Member Gigi Daniels?
Yeah.
Member
Yes.
DeSalta Campbell?
Yes.
Member Dillon?
Yes.
Member Giannotti Fry?
Yes.
Member Kennedy?
Yes.
And Bob Orr?
Yes, motion passes. Thank you, everyone. Public participation, and this is our second opportunity for audience members to give comments or feedback to the board. Marilyn, do we have anyone signed up? We do not. All right, may I please have a motion to adjourn our meeting?
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, our meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Thank you. Happy homecoming.